You'll vote for Tim O'Connor, 'cause he believes in the Constitution. And as your assemblyman, he will be your voice. He'll never let you down, make him rejoice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We finally had a man who hears your voice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Tim O'Connor is the only choice. Write in Tim O'Connor, Libertarian, for New York State Senate, Senate District 51.
All right, guys, it's November 10th, 2020. It is your favorite Libertarian write-in candidate for Senate District 51, the heart, the breadbasket, the Rust Belt of upstate New York. Guys, as you know, and as we knew from the start, success is not final. Failure, guys, is not fatal. It's courage to continue that counts. That's why I'm clogging up the airways tonight, brothers and sisters in liberty. That's the bottom line. We did what we wanted to do, and the numbers don't matter, and the noise doesn't matter. And now we are on the precipice of growing liberty in New York State. And the question is, how do we do it? Michelle Ann, how are you? Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm going to give a concession speech. I fully expected to have to do this right from the beginning, and that's fine. But the concession speech, of course, Brian Bedford, what's up, brother? Thank you for everything. So the concession speech is this, guys. I didn't expect to win. Therefore, I did not lose. What I saw was impact. And I think, guys, you tell me, but I think we achieved some level, some measure, some goals of impact. Things happened that were, things get unpredictable. Things get wild. Things get crazy. That happened in Senate District 51. And thanks to you guys, thanks to me, thanks to the effort that we all put in spreading liberty, things happened in upstate New York. It was epic. It was a blast. So, guys, I was just watching the Larry Sharpe show, man. Yeah, let's talk about that. I don't know, Jeff. The thing is as a write-in candidate, they're covering the write-in stuff today. So they opened up a bunch of ballots today. We had a number of poll watchers, thanks to the Libertarian Party in Otsego County and the surrounding areas. So basically what that means is we won't have a final number. The first day out, I saw 145 votes in Otsego County for a write-in candidate. I'll presume that some of those were for me. Most of those, probably at least 130. So 130 starting in Otsego County, but there's 9 counties in Senate District 51. I wanted to get to 1,000 votes. I thought that would be a good metric and a good place to start. I have a feeling that I probably didn't get there, but we'll see. 1,000 votes would have been a great place to get to. Hey, Luke, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining the show tonight. I appreciate it. Yes, recounts. My legal team is working on it. We are going to get out there and we're going to get the real numbers, guys. We're going to get them. There will be an opportunity after today to take a look at the total votes cast, the difference that the Democrat got, the Republican got. I'm hoping that I can make some guesses as to 1,000 or more, but you know, the effort was number one, enjoyable, and number two, I know we had impact. I know it. So, guys, always the likes, the comments, the shares. That's what helps this show grow. That's why I'm doing it. I see good numbers in the lobby. Politics is over. People are still kind of excited. We're not done, are we? Number one, I did. I definitely won the write-in category for Senate District 51. I wrecked it. Like there isn't even a close second place. Guys, if you're watching on Twitter, you got to go to the Periscope app if you want to say hello or make comments. And you're more than welcome to. I would love to have comments from the Twitter world. I am live on Twitter, live on YouTube, and of course, live on Facebook. I did score. I was way out in front there on that. Number one in write-ins. So what's our new goal? That basically right now the goal was to decompress a little bit for a week or two. I got some jobs I got to take care of and get back to making some money. You know what I mean? And so, but the new goal is to keep doing what we're doing on some level, Ken, don't you think? With the old guard, new fire, we're going to get some local guys into office. I'm going to keep making noise. I want to grow the Libertarian Party in particular. But there's things that are happening nationally that are interesting too, guys. Like there's hey bud, what's going on? There's a movement, Tea Party 2 movement, and not that I want to necessarily join a movement that that didn't quite work as well as it should have, because let's be honest, the Tea Party got co-opted by the Republican Party operations, and basically they feasted on themselves, and that's why Justin Amash left. But we still have Thomas Massey. Rand Paul kind of got in there then. But you'd look at that, Eric Cantor, even John Boehner. These guys all rode that wave of fiscal responsible government, and it crashed and burned. It got abused. Yeah, here's one thing that I'm going to be working on right here. Yes, we have to start getting. We have to, first of all, we have to convince him to run. And how are we going to do that, Michelle? I think he wants to run. I think that there's an issue of him running again and knowing that it's a difficult race to win, to go from 120 to 200,000 votes to 3 million, 4 million votes it's a tough metric to do. So how do we do that? How do we make that worthwhile to him and all of us that are going to do the work on the ground? God, we've all got ideas. I'm going to keep doing this show. That's one way. But for this show to work, for Larry's show to work, we've got to share it with our friends. We've got to get people involved. We've got to get invested in growing liberty. Now, there's issues to growing liberty, guys, that are challenging, because we are, and guys, I don't care who's out there, the guys that are in this lobby, the people that come onto this show and talk to me, guys, that we're the smartest people in the room. Okay. And I'm not even joking. Ken Williams, you know that's true. My brother, you know that's true. Even Dose, you little anarchist, okay? That's the reality. We think things through on a different level than our friends, okay? They want to listen to a news story. They want to listen to the mainstream media reaching inside their brain and tweaking their amygdalas or maligulas or whatever it is there, okay? So when that's where they want to exist, how do we reach them and explain to them that what's happening is that they love the state and that they're forgetting about loving liberty, that at the end of the barrel of a gun pointing at you to enforce someone else's virtue is a problem? And how do we convince people that that's the real problem? And it's a challenge, right? I mean, I think we've all met a few people over the course of the last few months who we persuaded with our solutions and our goals and our hopes and dreams for a better future for our children in at least New York State, if not the world and the country, right? Yes, I hope so. I want them to. It was fun. Guys, and I don't know if you guys all saw it, but I did 6-7 events with Larry. He shared his space with me a number of times, and man, he is one of the most outgoing guys there is. He's friendly every single time. He always picks a great subject, and he always like kind of puts a new spin on everything. We've got to be offering solutions, and I offered a number of solutions, and had I gotten more votes, those solutions would be more powerful. So how do I get more votes next time? The goal here, the ground game. What's the ground game for the libertarians to grow liberty in New York State? And I have ideas. I know other guys have ideas, but I think some of my ideas are at least as real as what other people are going to come up with. So one of the things, guys, that we have to do is we have to commit to growing our local organizations and getting involved in our local organizations. And what are the steps to do that? Okay. Yes, Larry, we can't stop saying it no matter what, right? We do. We got to fight the commies all over again. Yes. Yeah. There's things you got to be careful of saying on Facebook, but yes, we've got to fight the commies all over again. They're basically living it up. The mainstream media exposure, I'm thinking, I wanted to bring this up because this one's an important one. I think that the mainstream media exposure, what we have seen, and guys, this is a big part of what I want to talk about. So it's perfect that you asked this, Jeff. A big part of what we've seen over the course of the last few months, the last few years, is that the media is literally dying and desperate, okay, for attention and money. And to do that, they're fostering basically what I would call mental illness in people, okay? So that going to the mainstream media and hoping that they will cover us isn't going to do what we want it to do. What I think has to happen, and it may take too long, all right? But what has to happen is that the competition to the mainstream media has to grow, and we have to crush them, okay? We have to beat them, and that's why I'm doing this. That's why Larry's doing what he's doing. That's why there's other guys doing these podcasts and having these conversations. We have to have real talk about real news all the time. Not, again, emotional platitudes designed to sell advertising, because that's what's going on. That's all they do. They hate Trump or they love Trump, but regardless, what they're doing is stimulating people's emotional need for this energy, to this reactive energy, this self-defense mechanism, or this attack mechanism, or this protection mechanism. They're doing it constantly. You've seen it done with the COVID-19 issue. You've seen it done practically every single day for the last year, over the election, over Trump, over Biden. It is a constant, nonstop assault on our intellect, okay, to get us to respond emotionally, to click those links. And that's what we have to build. All right, guys, anybody that wants to come on my show and hang out with me for a half an hour, 45 minutes, and have me just ask them questions, and just to have fun, just to spread this message of liberty. And that's the goal. I don't care if you agree with me perfectly. Please let me know. Send me a message. We'll set something up. I want people that want to do this, though, that feel like they've got something to come on and say. You've got to give me an idea about what you want to say. Come on with me, and we'll expand your notion to the nth degree, as far as you want to go. Like we'll expand that notion of what you think is going to grow liberty. We'll do it on this show, and we'll talk it out. And then we're getting people watching this show. It will grow now that Facebook's going to cut back on the censoring, because it's not as important right now. As long as we are not advocating for violence, which, guys, we're not. We're not saying let's get violent, let's get busy, let's take this to the next level. That's not what we're doing. We're going to win this in the hearts and minds and souls of everyone, hopefully in the country. Hopefully everybody in the world can understand some of this stuff. And there are people all over the world that do understand this stuff. All right, let me move down through some of the comments, because that's basically the fun part. And thank you, Jeff, for that, because that took me right in. Guys, sometimes questions will take me right into what I've already decided to work on. Yes, we shout his name, shoot his name. Yes, he is our philosophical, emotional leader of the Libertarian Party in New York State. Our executive committee, great bunch of guys, hardworking bunch of guys, but Larry has the spirit that we're looking for. He's got the vibe that we're looking for, and he can bring people in from both sides. He can convince people that solutions are the answer, and he can convince people that the state is the problem, when a lot of people kind of already realize that the state, they're saying, we want the state to do this, we want the state to do that, but they realize that the state is actually an ineffective mechanism to deliver that. So when Larry lectures on a solution, or I talk about how we can improve farming regulations, you guys got to take that to your town boards and talk about that. So yeah. And I saw something in there. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay, but here's the reality, right? Larry's going to pick somebody who he has to pick from a densely populated urban area. That's reality, okay? That's okay. My role, if it gets there, is whatever it is, okay? But, so my role will be whatever it is. It will be verbal mouthpiece, like I like to do. If he wants me to take a role on a slate that he has built in his mind, I would do that, because he's the right guy for that job. And I haven't given up the idea of getting in New York State Senate, guys. Like that's not an idea that I've given up on, because they don't understand economics the way that I understand economics. They don't understand the price tag for their virtue signaling. They don't understand the price of it. So if I can make them more aware of the price of their virtue signaling, that's a valuable goal. Okay. And we can all make our legislators more aware of the price of their virtue signaling, but it's going to take a lot of work. And it's going to take threats, right? It can't just be, okay, a Democrat that's been elected 8 times in a row with some young Republican running in there. The fight has to be real. They need our voices in there pulling for the right person. And sometimes the right person could be a Democrat. Most of the time, the right person should be a libertarian. We're going to have challenges with that over the next few years, maybe. but we've got guys working on that, guys that I consider competent, and that's important. Okay, we've got competent guys working on the issues in the Libertarian Party. Responsible government is an oxymoron, so let's just look for a peaceful, irresponsible government. I think one of the goals, like as a libertarian that is involved in politics, though, is the concept of shrinking government as to where it becomes next to unnoticeable in our lives, right? And I'm not like creating new things here. These are things that we can talk about. If we can shrink the government so that we can't notice it in our lives, that's as good as a strategy as anything else that we can come up with. And if we can educate the people in government that their virtue and their quality of life issues don't really like spread quality of life, don't really grow quality of life, that's the goal, at least part of it. One of the goals, one of the many goals. Yeah. Right. There you go. Something like, there has been some issues in the Libertarian Party that lend itself to this lack of credibility that we should all talk about, because we're building the Libertarian Party. They had their chance with the Libertarian Party, and most of those guys are gone. Okay. There's good people, top to bottom, left to right, north to south in the Libertarian Party. And they all agree on one thing, whether they came from the left or they came from the right, they agree on one thing. The solution is not the government, guys. That the solution is kindness to your neighbor. The solution is quality of life, lower taxes, less regulations where appropriate. Occasionally, more regulations where appropriate. But guys, we've done things in upstate New York, especially that don't recognize our economic reality. Okay, we're overregulated. We have too much zoning. We have too many rules to get a business started. We have too many taxes to get a business started. We have too many fees to get a business started. And that's for a medium, large size business. You can pick up a hammer and go into business for yourself tomorrow. But even that is unnecessarily complicated now. And they keep always trying. They have like agencies in the state trying to go around and catch a guy who's not paying his guys right, and then put that guy on the hook for thousands of dollars. And all that guy does is move to Tennessee, fellas. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, they're gone. Right? I was pretty happy with running as a write-in. I'd almost like to, and if the Libertarian Party has a problem with ballot access, I think I might run as a write-in again. And then, guys, this might kill you guys. There's a possibility you co-opt the Democrat line somehow, right? Because the Democrats have not done well in Senate District 51. And there's so many reasons why, but to hear if you can influence the Democratic Party, guys, don't lose your mind at me right now. Okay. Just relax. All right. There's both parties. There's people in both parties that enjoy the concept that the state isn't the answer, that freedom is what we need. And that we can trust our neighbors. And especially if we have more money in our pockets, we can trust our neighbors even more. We do need media. How do we do it though? How do we do it other than what I'm trying to do, what Larry's trying to do, what Dave Smith's trying to do or doing? Some guys are doing it, and then there's guys that are trying to do it. I put myself in the category of being a guy that's trying to do it. But whatever. I am doing it because you guys are here and you're giving me likes and shares and comments, and that's why I do it. Whoa. All right. I see I'm kind of, whoa. Oh, guys, the comments are great. I gotta catch up on comments. Let me do that. That's the thing. People are moving away from mainstream media. More and more people I know are unplugging the cable. I can't even keep that up there, Keto, you clown. You're right. They should have done what Larry did. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that is what cemented my vote for Larry. All right. When they didn't invite him to the debate and then Larry gypped himself into the debate. First of all, it was hilarious that he took this traditional piece of media debates, these pseudo serious hoity-toity deals, and he just inserted himself right into it. And I should have did it. I should have did it as well. And I did it kind of. I did a video of me answering their questions if I was more technologically savvy when it comes to computers, and if I had more time, and if I thought I was closer in the race than I was, I would have built a video just like that. Spike and Joe had the people to do that. They should have really done that. I don't want to call it a mistake, but it's something I would have done differently. for sure. And I kept sending them text messages to telling them that's what they had to do. But, whatever. I know. I could run for county rep. That I think Meg Kennedy just got reelected she's done an okay job. Here's the thing about local politics, Andrew. If I run for dog catcher as a libertarian, and I'm going to be like, look, I'm going to let everyone's dog go, like make sure you take care of your dog and leave. And I'm not going to write tickets. They're not going to elect me. I can't run on that platform. I run for town judge and be like, well, I'm just going to forgive all the tickets in town. They're going to be like, well, we're not voting for you. And if I want to serve on the town board, you can still lose a local election because not enough people have bought into liberty. So how do you sell liberty? You run for a big office, okay? And you do your best to sell liberty. Like you're doing. You're actually young and running for town supervisor. I'm old enough to be a senator. I'm actually better trained educationally. And guys, I don't mean to brag, okay? Like I have a better grasp of economics than the two guys I was running against. That's okay. People bought into the Republican versus the Democrat, and I didn't have $1 million to send it on them. So that's okay. All right. Yeah, that would be a way to do it, right? Get big, huge groups of people doing stuff. Like, what would you think? Remember we were going to do, and I did one, but 10 people showed up because of the COVID outbreak, but the Cornholes for Liberty. And the 10 people that showed up, it was great. Like, don't get me wrong. There's no knocking the people that showed up. It just happened on the same weekend as the COVID outbreak at SUNY Oneonta. I think that there was going to be more people there. And because 600 kids caught COVID that weekend, no one wanted to come to Oneonta. They didn't want to drive through it. It was a disaster. But I still had 10 people show up. And I still had a blast. And we still spread liberty that day. And plus, I'm undefeated at Cornhole. So ideas like that. That's what we've got to do. All right. Do that, guys. Do that. This is going to be interesting. This guy's had a huge success in his life. He's worked hard. I'll let him share it with you. I've shared it on another podcast. But he's been very successful with a goal that he set. And that is so impressive. All right. And so what we're seeing at the county level is top-down government, okay? They're saying, here's our virtue. We want business. The county buys property. Guys, this is all true, okay? The county buys a property. They start building micro homes. The county buys a property. They start developing it for some potential business down the road. That's bribery like what Cuomo does. They're repeating the pattern that they see Cuomo does that has failed all over the state. They do need libertarians to run the county. They do need conservatives to run the county. Some people aren't comfortable with the label of libertarian, but we need to get libertarians and conservatives in those positions to start fighting these battles. And they're not going to win these battles because the state has laid out laws and rules, but at least they can start the conversation. And the more people we have starting the conversation, the more likely that our future is going to be better for our kids. So, and we got to be realistic about some of this. Like if we get a guy in the governorship, or at least we get a guy in the governorship that gets 1 million votes, then all of a sudden we can have this huge top-down change, okay? We get a guy in the Senate. We have a huge top-down change where people say, oh, my God, what this guy said makes sense. Let's run our county board the way that he's saying. And that's where the impact is. Town supervisor, that's where the impact is. No, but if you guys want to come on here and talk about it, or if Ted wants to come on here and talk about it, then we can talk about it, because that is something that I want to share with people, the crowdfunding of the government ideas. Because on some level, localizing is crowdfunding the government already. If we start saying, number one, first things we've got to do is say no to New York State. No more, no more, no more. Stop giving us your unfunded mandates. They unfund mandates everything. Even, guys, I can even make the argument, guys, that whole Bail Reform Act is an unfunded mandate on our communities. They take our judges' ability to protect our communities away. We're paying these guys to do a job to protect our communities from people who are in the midst of violent problems. Okay. And guys, as a libertarian, I'm very forgiving of people that are having problems, very forgiving of people that are having drug problems, very forgiving of people that are making a mistake that they're going to recover from fast. Okay. But the bail reform takes that decision making out of our local judges' hands. It's an unfunded mandate. Our police department has to do extra work because we screwed over our judges. All right, let's go. I've been meaning to, I've been in this period of trying to get votes, and then now I'm kind of trying to decompress and figure out what exactly the next step is. And guys, I got to get at least 12 likes or I'm never doing this again. And right now I've only got 9, so I don't know what to tell you. You better find some people to give me some likes, man. All right. And you are here. All right, brother. Thank you very much. Dude, it's been a pleasure. And let's hang out. Let's figure this out, guys. Let's move this stuff forward. Libertarians should live their lives like they're vegetarians. Live what we preach and preach what we live. I literally, you do, and it's appreciated. And brother, you got us votes. You had impact, and that's the beautiful thing. That's how we do it. That we talk to conservatives, we talk to liberals, and guys, the conversation with there are lots of liberal Democrats that are saying individual rights are really important. They don't want to hear the less government piece of it. Okay, they don't want to hear the less government piece of it. Okay, but if they want to hear the individual rights piece of it, and we say, look, what you're doing is screwing over my neighbor, and they're going to leave the state, they're going to start listening. But we got to have those, and they're tough because those people are they look at us like we're conservatives who have tanks. That's what they want us to be. They want us to be conservatives that have tanks, and we know that we're not. So that's the trick. All right, brother, you're let's see how many. Tommy, thank you for being here. So Tommy had a question. He's discussing something on his Facebook page, and it's a big piece of what I wanted to talk about tonight, and healing the divide of the country. And I talked about it a little bit already, but I'm going to go back through it again because it can be repeated 1,000 times, and we can still improve the message every single time. All right. Number one, a guy like Tommy, and I used to do it too on my Facebook page, so I started running, but you have conversations with people about who you are, and you don't necessarily take a stance like, I'm a Tea Party Republican. You say, I'm a Republican. We have a conversation, and you can see it on Tommy's page. Tommy does a really good job with it. If you guys want to friend him, anybody that's in our lobby here, Tommy, I vouch for you would do great with. They would be good to have conversations with. And liberals will come on and say one thing, and Tommy will be like, well, I don't really see it that way. And then other people, they'll be a little bit arguing. But the way that he does it, right, the way he talks about healing and having conversations is good. He still likes the government way more than I do. He thinks that the government can provide a lot of solutions that I don't think they should. But his input and the way that he has conversations is incredibly valuable, and we can all learn something from the way that he does it. So healing the nation and bringing us back together and uniting, number one, that's impossible. Okay, that's not going to happen. What we can do is move closer together and be nicer to each other and the only answer is, guys, we're saying, how can we grow libertarian media? The only answer is to start ignoring mainstream media. Those guys they're bizarre. We have moved, in my lifetime, we have moved from guys giving you the news in an hour or and a half or an hour every night of the week to 24 hours a day worth of news on shows that are desperate for ratings. So they have to say outrageous things, and they have to create. And the way to get people to react is to get them to react emotionally, okay? They lose their minds if we can say, if you insult them and they insult them, and then all of a sudden they fight a little bit, and then everybody takes that argument back to their corners, and they say, this guy should have said this, and this guy should have said that, and they have the argument at work the next day. That's what's got to change, all right? It's got to change the conversations. We got to move away from what the political media complex is handing us. We've got to move away from it. And the more people that we can move away from it, the better off we're going to be. And that's why I'm going to keep trying to do the show. And that's why I'm going to try to bring people on, because that is a move away from what the media is offering us. This arguing, two people at each other's throats, trying to score intellectual talking points that are irrelevant to our everyday life. Okay? Irrelevant to our everyday life. Think about what that means. You watch Tucker Carlson, and he gives a great speech about something one night. And he is a good speaker, guys, and he is. And he's he deserves his time in the sun. It's all fine. But to take his argument to your friend and say, this is what Tucker said, and expect that guy to, that's not how it happens. It's conversations between us. We forget about the editorializing that you see in the newspaper. Don't give it the time of day. If somebody writes something nice about a puppy or a kitty show or something like that, support that kind of media, man. So that's how I feel about it, Tom. We're talking about what we've got to do to bring people back together. We're not. There's going to be people that love the state, And there's going to be people that say the state is the problem. We need to minimize the state. And that's what I'm working towards, because I think that that's a healthier path forward. If we're negotiating about the size of this, that's a better negotiation to have than everything else. And smaller state means less wars, period. And I don't like wars. Greece, yes. If you're, yeah, it is a tough way to get votes, right? To be the philosophical, what I think the unemotional philosophical leader is a tough way to get votes. People want to buy into emotional reactions, and people buy into the Democrats are bad. People buy into the Republicans are bad. And I find that to be unfortunate. And that's why I want to plant myself in the Libertarian Party, is because that is unfortunate. That is, they do regulation now. Buying regulations is something that's real. Okay. You can see the guy that I sought to replace. You could see his coffers get filled by insurance companies in New York State. Literally, the guy that I sought to replace, the friends of whomever, I don't even want to mention his name, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars went into his friends of campaign coffers from insurance companies. And I'm not making it up. It's on the Board of Elections. Everybody thinks it's okay. But why? Because he served on the finance committee that controlled insurance regulations in New York State. Okay, that's why. That's how it happens, okay? And that is what's going on, right? That Greece, and you can see Thomas Massey and Justin Amash talk about it, how it happens on the federal level. And other guys will talk about how it happens on the federal level. Even Rand Paul will talk about how it happens on the federal level. It's absolutely real. I don't know. Isn't he still? He's still around, isn't he? Still serving in an office down in Long Island, or no, Molinaro? I think he's still doing something down on Long Island, but I could be wrong. He might have just left the state. Who knows? He did. He put a lot of money into his campaign coffers and never ran a serious race. Never. It was not a serious race. And the Republican Party, guys, you know this is true. Okay, I'm not trying to insult my friends that are Republicans. The Republican Party has divested itself for the most part from New York State. It's mostly done. And if they come back, how are they going to come back? With whose money? You guys saw shows about it on I had Brian LaRusso on. I still willing to have Tim Shore on. We never were able to put it together about the mechanism that got the Republican candidate selected. I don't want to spend too much time on that because we're moving forward and I'm decompressing, guys. So that's the reality. Yes, I know. We still have, guys, we have houses, because I think I'm pretty sure houses for sale won the election in central New York. I mean, he was the most popular candidate by far. That or U-Haul. That's the issue. There is issues there. I think a lot of conservatives would admit, and a lot of Republicans would admit that Trump had his moments that he could have been better and he could have defended our freedoms better. Yes, I agree with that. And then there's people that they still want Trump to win, and he still may win, and there still may be all of the things that they said there are. There may be election fraud. There may be cases for him to win. Yeah, that's the other thing too, right? Why would I want to? That's the question. You get into a major political party, they will turn on you. They will primary you, right? If they don't like what you did, or if you didn't bring home the bacon, like both my competitors in Senate District 51 promised they would be. Guys, check out their debate from Cayuga County. They both promised they would bring home the bacon to Senate District 51. Literally a campaign promise of bringing home the bacon. Guys, we're $13 billion in debt. There ain't no bacon to bring home unless New York gets bailed out. And then if New York gets bailed out, we didn't solve one problem. Not one. Okay. So yeah, they do turn on you. They do. And that's why guys like Cantor softened their message and got moved up the food chain, and Amash decided to leave the whole Liberty Caucus like that because the party turns on you unless you do what it says. And guys, I don't like that, man. I don't like that system. Okay. Next time you run live stream the event, giving your answers with all the time you need. All right. Fair enough. There we go. Wow, guys, thank you for all the comments. Let me there we go. All right. I agree with that. I was been thinking about doing this vitamin D drive where I just collect money, go buy vitamin D, and deliver it to like the Family Service Association. You guys heard me talk about the Family Service Association, but I'll talk about it again. It's a local charity. Excuse me for 1 second, guys. In Oneonta, New York, guys. It's a local. My mom ran it for, I don't know, 25 years. It gets some money from the United Way, but the most part, it has to interact with the community to get funding. So things that go there go directly back out to the community right there. It's not even like Salvation Army, which has a drop box. They take the clothes down to Binghamton, sort them, and then disperse them around to other Salvation Armies. It's not even as centralized as that. Is right here in Oneonta. So that kind of charity I love. So I was thinking about a vitamin D deal, right? Where I just raise some money, add to my where did I put my vitamin D? It's back there up above the helmet. But yeah, get that stuff out there. These are good ideas, and I think many hands make light work. So the person that starts it still has to work their butt off, but people will pitch in, and I like that idea. That's a good idea. Yeah, you are. Yes, you are. I'm going to be working up your way, so we should probably try to figure out a way to. The whole thing came together, so we're going to have to figure out a time to get together. Anything that helps people. Yes, I agree. That's Dose, the guy that keeps coming on. He's talking about my friend Ted, crowdfunded government. His goal is to say, let's do this instead of the government doing it. Then the government can't create a program to do it. Okay, I will. That's Borelli, Joseph Borelli on Facebook. We'll see if we can get him on Twitter too. That's okay, Shelly. I miss you. I saw you at the Larry show. I made some comments and stuff like that. All right, brother. Have a good night. Enjoy Oak Island. Or no, that was Boyce that was watching Oak Island tonight. Oh, guys, I just barely got 12 likes. I think, honestly, I need at least 13 likes. I don't care if it's unlucky. I think that you're right. I don't see first of all, they're going to turn on Biden. Okay. The news is going to do to Biden what they did to Trump. Okay. That's how they're making their money now. Okay. That's it. You saw it already. Election night, a couple days after the election. Maybe there is something to this Hunter Biden story. Guys, there is something to the Hunter Biden story. It's how politics gets done. That's the Hunter Biden story, okay? It's not always obvious as Hunter Biden, but that's how politics get done, guys. That's it. Right there. Less government, healing the nation. That's right. And you do. Funny is funny. And guys, we do have to keep that in mind. Funny is funny. We can all work together on this stuff. About 4 years ago, I got rid of my cable, and I'm just been. Hey, guys, you couldn't imagine. Like, you see how I amped up I get here. Like, you couldn't imagine me when I was watching cable, like watching Fox in the morning, and then a couple shows at night. I'd get wound up, man. I remember Walter Cronkite. That's who I was thinking of, right? Half hour, 45 minutes of real news, and yeah. The only time he showed emotion, every once in a while he would editorialize. He had usually and editorialize in a way that, and I was young back then, but he would editorialize in a way that I felt was made me react emotionally, and I didn't enjoy that as much. Okay, pizza party is where you bet, brother. It is. Yeah, right. You have to stop trafficking before you can talk about legalizing prostitution. I agree with you. There's lots of libertarians that are very much in favor of what two adults do is what two adults do, and as long as it stays between them, it's fine. And it will help minimize the effects of illegalities. Philosophically, it's a tough one for me to wrestle with, but I respect adult people, so that's that. They are. Yes, they are. Molinaro went to West High School. He was a sports guy. Yeah, I don't think he had. Honestly, I saw another race. They run guys. They run people that for the optics of it. They don't think they're going to win. They say this is the guy that we want. He fits, and they check the box. Military, good looking, has some money, already won a couple offices. They check the boxes and they go, here, this is your guy. Boom. And they ignore the will of the people. And guys, in Senate District in Otsego County in New York 19, we saw exactly that. A guy that checks the boxes, and I'm not even saying he's a bad candidate. I would have no way of knowing, okay? I would have no way of knowing that whether he's a good candidate or not, other than I can tell you right now, he's nowhere near as good during live broadcasts as I am, okay? He's not. So he checks the boxes. Oh, yeah, this is the guy. All the county chairs fall in line. They all, the ones that run advertising companies or election consultant companies get some grift, get some money, and that's all legal in New York State somehow. Not in New York City. It's not legal in New York City. They send guys to jail for that stuff in New York City, just so you guys all know. Yes, Massey is exactly the vibe that the whole country needs. I'm not even gonna lie. Yes, he does his job. Yeah, the bacon. Don't get that bacon and say they brought it back to New York. There has been, guys, like none of this stuff that we're all hearing about. It was all, sure, it exploded with some really, really hard evidence. But it's just an explanation of what we already knew. Okay, like it's just an explanation of what we already knew. Like on some level, it added details, gory details of what we already knew. Okay, so that's that. I agree. And the BBC has got a slant to it most of the time, like NPR on steroids. No, like NPR, but not quite as NPR-ish. So yes, NPR offers good news sometimes, but they editorialize. BBC editorializes slightly less. But every other news source, all they do is they make their living off of editorializing. I know. And yes, I don't mean me. Is what I assume you mean, brother. Because I don't mean me either. I know how I voted. I'm comfortable with how I voted. And I think I would vote that way again in the future, Gus. So, Mike, let's see if I got anything I missed. I think this was hopefully kind of fast-paced. We're getting out to about 40 minutes. Unity, we covered you, Esperson. Here's some more. Okay. Oh, no, those are comments I covered already. Okay. All right. But, guys, remember, the likes, the comments, the shares, the conversation, that's what counts. Guests, if you want to be on the show and you've got an idea you want to share, let me know. If you come up with an event that you want to promote, let me know. We'll do some more campaign reduxing down the road, okay? Where I get a better estimate of how many votes we got for Ola, how many votes we got for Victoria, how many votes we got towards that spread the message of liberty, that spread the message of representation. I'll work on that. Just like Cuomo, I know I'm a little bit I don't know how Larry talked about that. Like, even though he was calling out Cuomo's own words, guys, I'm feeling like I've almost never wanted a vaccination more than I want this one. If Cuomo doesn't want it to be distributed till after Trump gets kicked out of office, I almost want to go to someplace where I can get it and just stick my thumb in his eye. Like, what a joker, man. Literally, this guy wants to hold a vaccine hostage. Guys, and I'm not making this up, Facebook. Don't ban me. Read the article yourself, okay? He doesn't want Trump distributing the vaccine because his distribution plan may be inequitable, may contribute to inequity, what was it? Anyways, guys, you gotta watch the show. It was Good Morning America this morning with George Stephanopoulos. There's going to be clips of it all over the place because people literally see Cuomo and they swoon. And when I hear him talk, I'm just like, guys, what is wrong with this guy? Like, why does he hate Trump that much? And why does he hate people that much? Like, literally, when I hear him talk, I just don't understand how that guy got elected 3 times. And I know part of it is because I wasn't, and people like me and you were not as involved in politics as we should be. And maybe now we're going to be too involved we got to balance. Everybody's got to balance. And that's how keeping that balance, guys, is how we keep good conversations going. Trust me, okay? Like, we've got to get that going. Yes, C-SPAN may not edit it, but they don't have enough content. There's not enough content like for a 24-hour national news cycle. They've got to make news out of it, probably. Yes, she is, man. I don't know if you guys saw, like last Sunday, she came on the show with me and right before the election, and she's like, bah, 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 I don't care if I don't get another grant from the government, because she writes books and sometimes she gets grants. And this stuff about COVID-19 is wrong, and you guys should all go back through and check it out and see what she's working on. She's spreading liberty, man, and she did a great job. And she kept picking up her pace as it moved along. Like, I was so impressed with her, the way that she just kept picking up her pace and just kept picking up her pace and taking it to a new level. It was really, really, really good. And she got better at speaking and better at enjoying being around crowds more. And as we all get better at that, this liberty movement is going to grow. I will, brother. All right, but thank you for being here. As always, it's much appreciated. And I doubt that you live in an old folks home. So anyway, but thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, we have the cure, but we won't. That's literally, guys, that's what he said on Good Morning America. You can take his long take and pretend that that's not what he said, but that's exactly, guys, don't zook me, Facebook. Facebook, Zuckerberg. I'm telling you, that's exactly what he said. It's amazing that the whole rest of the news cycle didn't focus on him saying, don't give out the vaccine until Trump's out of office. It's what he said. Yes, I know, because they have some petty squabble. Like, the election's over. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen now, okay? Like, that's it. It's done. So because he has an axe to grind. So that's the question, right? How do we get out of the echo chambers? Because we've built ourselves a growing echo chamber with our friends, because it's enjoyable. We have conversations with people that are smart and enjoy our points of view, and you share your points of view, and it's very enjoyable. So how do we break out of these echo chambers? And I think one of the answers, I don't know, somehow that part has to happen off of social media. Ideas like Michelle was saying, like a food drive, would somehow you get the libertarian stamp on it, but subtly, right? So those things, that's how we break this event, me campaigning, me getting newspaper coverage twice, because that's certainly, you can see my friend count go up on Facebook right afterwards. And so that certainly helped break us out of the echo chamber, being in the newspaper. So the things that you guys can do, and things that I'm willing to help you with, and I'm not a great writer, but I'm a good writer. If you write a letter to your editor and you want me to take a look at it before you send it in, I will do that. But you have to write it, okay? I'm going to write more letters to the editor. That's one thing that can help us, because there are people that aren't on Facebook or Twitter, believe it or not. So if we want to write letters to the editor about liberty, I think that's something, and they have to be they have to be solution oriented, but they also can't be too long. You want them to be short. And those things will help people find people like us to have conversations with. So that's one, writing letters to the editor, guys. I know. And having events, that's another one, like what Michelle said. Those two things. And we've got to focus on the most palatable issues of property taxes are too high and we're taking too much property from our friends and neighbors. Okay, that's a good way to write an article to your local paper. Okay, you don't have to mention Trump. You know what I mean? You don't have to mention Cuomo. You could say, look, we are taking property from our neighbors because our taxes are too high. We're chasing people out of the state because our taxes are too high. These things are real. And if we don't even make it a libertarian issue, people will then come to us on social media and have conversations. That's a theory that I have. Anyway. Yes, she was a little, I think, guys, it's tough. Like, I came out hot and I got sheepish towards the end. So it's like your energy has to be paced to match a campaign. Honestly, that first debate, the second debate wasn't as bad, but that first debate was everything that I talk about that's wrong with the political media complex. And guys, Chris Wallace, yeah, Chris Wallace, not Chris Matthews, Chris Wallace. I'm embarrassed for him. Though I think he wrote those questions, and those questions were ridiculous. Okay, those questions were asked and answers and things that people had argued about for years preceding that debate. It was embarrassing. And if Joe had been there, none of those questions would have been valid. Not one of them. Not one of those questions would have made it to the stage. He would have had to craft an entirely different debate. So that first debate was awful. The second debate wasn't as bad, but guys, I kind of tuned that stuff out. I had made my decision. Anyway, so yes, had Joe got it on the stage, and how do we get our next libertarian candidate on the stage? And guys, that's another thing. Joe's shelf life for campaigning was too short. All right. Coming from a university center without a history in government or business that made her famous, her shelf life from roughly April to November, that's too short. We need guys like Larry Sharp if he wants to, guys like Justin Amash if he wants to, guys like, and we roll the dice, say a prayer. Thomas Massey decides he's a libertarian tomorrow and wants to run for president. Okay. That's what we need. We need that kind of energy, that kind of vibe, that kind of commitment. And guys, the way to do that is if they make noise, we have to send them money, even if it's $5 or $10. That's how politics works. We don't want them getting money from Pfizer or, big pharma. Let's not use specific names. That'll get me zooked. But that's what happened. If Justin Amash says he wants to run for president tomorrow, I don't care if he's ultimately successful, but if he says he wants to run for president, I don't care if he gets the nomination. He might, but I don't care if he does. If he says tomorrow that he wants to run for president of the Libertarian Party in 2024, he now has a track record. He now has a lifespan. His shelf life is better. Joe had a couple bad tweets, caused all of us Ron Paul, and I'm not a Ron Paul libertarian, but caused all these Ron Paul libertarians to go, whoa, she's a communist. And they all kind of lost their minds, right? They did. And I can't blame them. She had a bad tweet. It wasn't, she went down a road that she shouldn't have. She would have. She absolutely would have. You're absolutely right. She would have. Yes. We've got to keep doing that, right? We've got to keep doing that. I agree. That's the message. That's the message, that we've got to stop using government to signal our virtue. We've got to stop. That's where we fail. That's where we cost our neighbors money. That's where our property taxes in upstate New York are too high, because we're so busy saying Dems are bad, Republicans are bad. The message is big government is bad, and we've got better answers. We do, because why? Because we do, because we're not government wonks. We're not involved in this us versus them, me versus you, Coke versus Pepsi of the 90s, where they just fight just to build market share for both of them and crap on RC Cola. You know it, brother. I had to work that in there tonight. There we go. Yes, it would be good. That would be exciting. So that's the goal, guys. If we get a candidate, a libertarian that says, hey, you know what? I want to be president in 2024. Or I want to run for president in 2024. We got to step up. We got to offer them. They can take time on my show. They can come and talk to me. Whatever I can do for that person. And if Larry says tomorrow, and I want Larry to say it as soon as he possibly, I'm running for governor. Okay. We've got to step up. And somebody called me today and they're like, are you running again? And I'm like, I'm decompressing, man. I don't know. And he's like, I think you got to run again. He goes, your run helped my run, and blah, blah, blah. And it was, and guys, he's a brilliant man. There's his name right there, guys. He's brilliant. He did great. He got tons of votes. He worked hard, and he attracted a crew of people. Now, that's the thing. I attracted a crew of people online. Next time I run, I want to have money to pay people to help me get the petition signed. I want to have money to, and they're still going to get taken advantage of, man. They're still going to be doing at least part of it for a cause, right? So I don't need millions of dollars, but I need to have more money ready to go than I had last time. And there's a possibility I'll figure it out, right? There's always that possibility. Yes. And Ryan, you contributed to me too, brother, and thank you very much for that. Yeah, it was huge. And it's not even like the total dollars I raised was great, okay, for me, for how many times I asked for money. But me saying, hey, if you're going to send a libertarian candidate money, send it to Queter first. Then if you have more money, send it to me. And guys, Jeff, Warren, and Shelley, there's lots of people that I got to thank for offering me their money. I didn't spend it so we can use it for things as campaign oriented things. I spent some of it, but I didn't spend a lot of it. Because it was, I can explain that in a different show. I don't want to talk about money. It's stupid. I hate money anyway. We are free to, and we're free to not react, right? Yes, his name travels well. It's good. All right, guys, 55 minutes. I'm calling it a night. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for all the comments. I see I got 50. All right, I'm obligated to do this again. Maybe I can do it again Friday. Let me figure out my schedule. But again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for all the comments. You all have a good night now, and we'll talk to you later.